Today is March 22nd, 2017. This is Josh from Variant News Source. I have Ralph Garman with the Ralph Report. He's also known for Hollywood babble-on with his buddy Kevin Smith. And you may have seen him on Fox's The Orville last season. And for reasons he may be able to better explain, you may see him again for season 2, but we're not sure for how long. How are you doing today, Ralph?
Good, Josh. How are you, sir?
Hey, I can't complain. I just wanted to check in with you. I know that you got the show off the ground. It's been a couple months now. You're at 6,876 Patreons following you. How's it going so far?
Yeah, we're getting there. We started off on the 22nd of January, so it's almost 2 months we've been doing the show every day, Monday through Friday. And from zero, we have climbed to almost 7,000 subscribers, like you said. So can't complain. If we can get to around 10,000, that's my dream number. 10,000 by the end of the year, I'll be a happy man. So we'll see what happens. But people have been very
Hey,
supportive and
10,000 is
very
great,
kind.
and I think you've been able to add a lot since just the beginning. You've had more segments added. You seem like you're kind of going with it as you go along. But I'm enjoying every second of the ride. In fact, this past Wednesday, we had the One Hit Wonder segment, which I thought was just phenomenal. It was a lot of fun 'cause you did it last week. But no, it was I think a few days ago actually. I'm sorry, with that song "Ides of March," and it was really great because you don't really get to hear that kind of music. And like you said, you kind of bring this stuff to a new audience and form a discussion around it. So it's been fun to kind of see you come up with these new segments as you go along, and they've been actually really working out really well. How's the response been on your end?
Yeah, those things happen organically. You know, you'll hit on something or someone will suggest something and then boom, you got a segment that people like and you start doing more of. We started off with Ides of March with Vehicle that first week on the 15th of March, and then that went over so well. We started the One Hit Wonder segment, and we did it this week with a song by a band called the Monroes, called What Do All the People Know? And people like that too. So, yeah, we'll do that every week. And we're starting to add these recurring segments of things that work, and we're dropping stuff maybe that doesn't work. It's a work in progress. It's a brand new show. So we are learning as we go.
Yeah, well, one of the things you're saying, when you're adding segments, one of the things I personally love, that you don't really get so much from, with Babylon, you have your routine with Kevin, where you guys kind of do the things that you do every week, but they're all great. That's why you guys have such longevity with the show. But with this, I saw you guys kind of have the Libby at the movies, which I love because it seems like you get a chance to pull in family into work, which is kind of a fun dynamic you probably never had with like K-Rock or even with Babylon, because like I said, you guys kind of have a routine, and then you done stuff with your wife. You did the therapy, you did the waxing, which was hilarious,
Right.
And I thought this kind of made for great listening because you're kind of pulling from a personal life, and I think that people kind of get a more personal perspective of Ralph Garman versus kind of the showbiz Ralph Garman that you get from Babylon, where you kind of a routine show, your kind of normal format. Where this, you get to start the show and say, hey, this happened yesterday. Can we take a moment to talk about it? Which I kind of love. It gives everybody a chance to kind of know who you are on a more personal level, and it's your thing.
I'm glad you like that. Yeah, it's definitely something that's different from anything else I've done in my career. And that is great on one level. Like you mentioned, I think people get to see a different side of me. Some people don't like it because they want more of the same, either stuff they heard me do on the radio here in LA or stuff that I do with Kevin on Babylon. So, I mean, you can't make everybody happy, but I think this is a chance for me to do some things that I'm really enjoying that are different, that are more personal, a little bit more conversational, a little more time spent. And, on a daily show like that, I think that comes in handy. It's more of a conversation and less of a show busy kind of thing.
Yeah, and you've had the opportunity to bring some actually really interesting guests. You've had Eric Stone Street recently, and the reason why I brought up Eric Stone Street is because I love something that you guys were able to touch on. You said something about you guys both have studied in improv in the past, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and you said, or one of the things you mentioned was that he found it that improv is, not just an excellent skill to learn when becoming an actor, but it's kind of something you can use as a practical application in everyday life. Have you felt like that was something that you could agree with in your own career, that just being good at improvisational skills is something that can actually further you in other things in your life?
Oh, sure. I mean, all improv is really, even in a performance level, is just teaching you to keep an open mind and be aware of what's being said and done around you, and then responding to that in the most sort of natural, organic way. And I think that just means you're just plugged in. You're paying attention, you're aware, you're engaged with your environment and the people you're working with. So no matter what you're doing, whether it's school or work or socially, I mean, that can't help but keep you more sort of locked in with what's happening in your life.
Yeah, because it's funny you mentioned that. That's what I went to school when I was in Palm Beach State College. I studied improv. I did it for about 2.5 years. Performed in the troupe at the Black Box Theater there. And one of the things I always took away from it, and whenever anyone asked me, that's why that interview resonated with me, is that I always said, you don't even have to become a good actor as your aspiration in doing improv, but you can go to a job interview. You can do just practical everyday things, and somehow I can wing it, and improvisational skills makes it seem like it was already pre-planned. You knew what you were doing, but you were just bullshitting, and that's actually one of the best skills you can actually have. And I love that you guys actually touched upon that on your interview with Eric Stone Street, just about improv, because it's just something I don't hear a lot of people talk about, and it's just something I can recommend more to any thespian, but even just college students,
Absolutely. If you ever called on just to interact with people and you want to be more comfortable and less nervous in a social situation, or if you're doing a presentation, you can't beat that kind of training.
Yeah, it was just something really cool that you guys have touched on, and I love some of the guests that you've had the opportunity, because of people that I may not have so far that you've had on the show that I may not have ever heard about, or I've known. I just had to know them by name, or I've never actually heard them speak in an interview, and many of them actually have a lot of interesting stuff to say, which has kind of been what's so neat about that show. Like I said, every time I tune into the Ralph Report, you guys have a new guest every week that you guys do the recurring segments at the end of your show, and you've added so many elements. And it's so fun to play along with it, because you'll say, you know what, let me show you this jingle, and be like, does that work for you guys? I think I like this one. Maybe we'll try this one next week, and see how that goes. And honestly, it's never been any less entertaining. It's turned out to be one of the better shows I listen to. If not the best one I get to go to work to, in the morning. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the Orville. What's going on with that? Can we expect to see you again, or is Mr. McFarlane going to be able to find some way to get you out of that alien claustrophobic rubber suit and into something else, maybe just to get you on there?
Well, I definitely won't be back as that character Canute, that's for sure. Yes, that was a disaster of a meltdown I had on the set, just because my claustrophobia would not allow me to stay inside that helmet without being able to see or hear inside of it. I just could not cope. So that is gone. But who knows? I mean, Seth has always been very good to me, and he always thinks of me when he can. And if there's something that pops up this season that I'm right for, I'm sure he'll give me a call. But if he doesn't, that's okay. He knows where to find me. I'll come back in season 3, or we'll do a film together, or I'll just keep doing Family Guy. Any chance I get to work with Seth is always a good time.
Well, I sure hope so, 'cause it seems like you guys have had a pretty good working relationship since Family Guy. And same with Kevin Smith. I know that you were in Yo the Hosers. Could we expect to see you show up in another Kevin Smith feature film in the future?
I always let Kevin know I'm available, whatever he needs. So I think the next one up for Kevin, he's trying to get Jay and Silent Bob reboot off the ground, and when that goes into production, I'm sure Kevin will give me a call and he'll work me in there somehow, because I was able to do.
I'm sure you're in his contact book somewhere.
Yeah,
we'll
exactly.
Yeah. And there's just a couple other questions, and this is just relating to Babble-on. I know that you guys just recently, I think you did your first show, was it since Kevin's health scare? Wasn't that just recently?
Yeah, we did our most.
Yeah,
we did our Hollywood Babble-on on St. Patrick's Day, the 17th of March. That was the first one we did since Kevin's heart attack.
Okay, and the reason why I ask is, how do you feel it went? Like, what did it feel like going back into that situation? Was Kevin kind of like, the show must go on, or was it something you guys kind of had to address right off the bat and be like, or what did it feel like going back into that set after that much time away, especially with the health scare after his specials that he's doing?
Kevin is just in great shape. I mean, he has bounced back 100% since the heart attack so quickly.
Excellent.
That it really wasn't any different than an ordinary show. It was just a lot of people showed up, of course, to wish him well and to welcome him back. But we felt like it was business as usual, which is nice. I mean,
was the health scare more regarding the Guinness and shots that were partaking that night? Was that the biggest health scare?
Yes, I think I was in more danger. My health was in more danger than his was. Yes.
And coming from Florida, can we expect any Babylon to hit Florida anytime soon?
Well, we did Orlando last year.
Okay, yeah, no, I do remember that. And the only reason I'm asking is I'm actually in South Florida. Do you guys ever think about doing Fort Lauderdale, maybe Miami?
I think we
Is it
do.
something you guys talked about?
I think we do have some plans on Florida shows later on in this year, perhaps the winter of 2018. So stay tuned.
Perfect. Well, Ralph, dude, I cannot thank you enough for your time. We just wanted to check in with you. We wanted to tell you how much we've been loving the show. And for anyone here listening here at the Variant News Source, you can find Ralph at the Ralph Report on Patreon.com. He's got an excellent service. He provides you as broadcasts, I think, around every day at 9 a.m., just about, right, Ralph?
Yeah, just about.
You did pretty good about that. And, yeah, he updates you daily. It's an excellent show. And I do appreciate your time, Ralph. You have a wonderful day.
Josh, thanks so much for having me on.
Absolutely.